With nearly 1,000 Pokemon in existence, not including forms mind you would think that Game Freak has covered all of the bases when it comes to type combinations. Well, you'd be wrong there, as there are a grand total of 17 unused dual typings as of me recording this video. Well, I guess 16 since one has been used by a Mega Evolution, but I don't count that. I'm talking straight up, in the wild, no gimmicks necessary dual types. So today, I'll be going over every unused dual typing before Scarlet and Violet's release, and coming up with some fun concepts for what Pokemon could don any of these 17 unused types. With that said, let's just get right into it. First, let's talk about normal ice. These typings that include normal can be a little tricky to think about from a concept point of view. The design of the Pokemon should probably justify the existence of the normal typing being a part of it. So what I've thought about is a Pokemon that has some characteristics of an ice fisherman. Maybe even something that's similar to Delibird in appearance. Possibly a variant or at least related to it in lore somehow. As far as battling goes, the typing is problematic. And it's not quite the normal typing that's the main culprit. It is of course the ice typing, notorious for being defensively bad. And combined with normal, it's now 4 times weak to fighting type attacks, which aren't exactly uncommon to come across. It does gain immunity to ghost types thanks to the normal side, but overall, the normal typing actually makes the ice typing even worse defensively. But I do think that Delibird-like fisherman idea, or something similar, is still a pretty cool way to potentially introduce this typing. Not everyone uses Pokemon just because they're considered among the top tier, though maybe with the right ability, it can negate some of those defensive flaws. Now let's discuss normal rock. In battle, this presents a similar issue as normal ice does, in that it's also 4 times weak to fighting attacks. Pretty brutal. It also is weak to common attacks like ground and water. The rock Pokemon generally tend to have at least a high physical defense stat, so this does help it defensively somewhat. It does have more resistances than ice, however, and of course gets the immunity to ghost. But I'm more interested in the concept of the Pokemon itself. You probably have plenty of straightforward ideas for a normal rock type in mind. You can basically just make it a cool rock monster. So how about I come up with something a little different? How about an actual normal rock? You know, like the pet rock from the 70s. Something ridiculous to justify the normal typing being paired with it. You can even go the route of giving it absurd googly eyes. Though I think literally just making its initial form look like an ordinary rock is a whole lot funnier. Maybe its only attack can be the trainer literally throwing it at the opponent. Of course, any evolutions for this thing can go on to look like something more traditional and cool, kind of like how Magikarp becomes Gyarados. Continuing with our normal type pairings, another unused combo is normal bug. I have to admit it's hard to immediately think of anything overly interesting to say about this combo, especially from a visual design standpoint. Bug is also seen as one of the worst defensive typings similar to ice. However, it does actually remove the weakness to fighting attacks that the normal type would have brought to the table. And there are probably some strong stab normal attacks a Pokemon with this combo may actually want to go with to complement their moveset against certain Pokemon. But overall, this isn't a type combo most people are going to be all that interested in. For a design, my mind jumps to something like the European stick bug, kind of like the bug from that one meme. Now we have normal steel, which is a little more interesting than it looks. It's yet another typing with a 4 times weakness to fighting attacks, but it also gets 2 immunities against poison and ghost, on top of the already great set of resistances steel gets. You all get another batch of stab normal attacks you can use, as well as should they fit in your moveset. It's fairly self-explanatory. For a Pokemon design, I'm thinking something that looks like a knight suit of armor, with everything covered except for a pair of glowing eyes beneath the helm. Maybe the suit of armor isn't entirely human-shaped either, like the beast that's really under it is a mystery. It could even have a tail shaped like a lance, still covered as part of the suit. Our last combo, including the normal type, is normal poison. This is a surprisingly decent typing defensively, being weak only to ground and psychic, and having a decent amount of resistances. Offensively, at the end of the day, all of these combos of normal typing are a little weird. Normal, as you all know, isn't super effective against anything. So unless you're loading it up with coverage moves, there's just not a whole lot you can do with just normal and poison. But hey, I guess having a decent counter to fairy is nice. For a design, I can't help but think of a Pokemon that may be man-made, like something based on a pill, or at least has the color split of one, and perhaps a strange marking or text on it. In my head, it kind of looks more like Genesect as it evolves, with arms similar to Kabutops to apply its poisons and other deadly effects. Now we finally move on to something totally different. Ground Fairy. This is a typing that feels defensively interesting. Being weak and resilient to 4 different typings isn't unique, but being immune to both electric and dragon feels like a pretty big deal. Though 3 of its resistances, dark, bug, and rock, aren't the most common of attack types. Being weak to something as common as water is always a bit problematic. Ground and fairy together offensively, however, is where this sticks out, as 8 different typings will be weak to one of your stab attacks, and you'll always have a stab option between the 2 to use without fear of weak effectiveness. Looking at it now, I'm sure the series hasn't tried experimenting with this typing already. As for a Pokemon design, I mean, come on, you've gotta go with the pink fairy armadillo. It's such a unique creature that it feels almost like a crime that it hasn't been made into a Pokemon yet. Alright, so next up is Poison Steel, and right away what comes to mind is a regional variant of Metagross. The big change would be that there would be some obvious rusting on this Pokemon, as in the real world, certain bacteria transmitted from rusted objects can be very deadly. With Steel being one of the typings, it's needless to say, this is by default an excellent defensive type. A 4 times weakness to ground is the only major issue, as Earthquake is such a common powerful attack. This is another one of those typings that I'm surprised doesn't exist at all yet, as I feel like there are a ton of different designs you can come up with. With the idea of this Pokemon having rusted parts of the body, I imagine there would also be a signature ability revolving around a unique effect on contact. Maybe something like Poison Point, except that it does more damage the longer it's poisoned. Now, here's a typing I kind of understand not existing, a Fire-Grass combo. Not as much of a contradiction as Fire-Water, a typing that actually exists, but still, perhaps still a little strange. That being said, it's easy to imagine a Chili Pepper-esque based Pokemon with this type. This typing is the ultimate resistance to grass, as both fire and grass itself resist it, while that fire typing provides the extra damage. Otherwise, there's not anything too special to discuss defensively. It still has 3 weaknesses in the end, though they're not all quite the most common offensive typings though. Fire and grass stab attacks together have a ton of offensive potential, however, as the 2 have pretty diverse strengths against Pokemon of many different elements. Overall, there's surprisingly not too much to say about how the type combo fares in battle, but not in a bad way. It would have solid potential. That brings us to Fire Fairy. This is a typing with solid defensive and offensive potential that many players could end up finding kind of overpowered if it's on a Pokemon with access to a crazy move pool and high stats. Some people may imagine a legendary or mythical Pokemon with this typing, and that's pretty fair. But for a non-legendary Pokemon, I also think of a regional variant for Sunflora. Lore-wise, it could even be the original version of Sunflora, being a sunflower that absorbs and takes on the properties of the sun more efficiently. If this concept were to appear in the new Spain-like region in Gen 9, then it could be closely related to the Florigus Pokemon from Kalos, which could possibly be close to the new region. They could go back and forth between being friendly with each other and being at odds due to their opposing typings. So for our next typing, it actually already exists. Well, kind of. The type combo I'm speaking of is Dragon Fairy, belonging to Mega Altaria. But since it's only for this Mega form, I'm not going to count it as something that properly exists in its own right. That being said, this is an easy enough type to imagine as a pseudo-legendary. This typing avoids the dreaded 4x weakness that the Dragon Flying combo is known for, and gets a pretty stacked set of resistances to several types. It also removes the weaknesses to other dragon types, which might be why they've never fully implemented this type combo outside of a Mega form. What do you guys think would make for a cool pseudo-legendary for this typing? Perhaps there are some myths tied to the Spain region that could tie it together in Gen 9. Alright, it's time for Bug Dragon. Yes, I know what you're all thinking. It should be some kind of dragonfly. A while back, we did a video on possible evolutions we wanted for Pokemon Legends Arceus, and the Pokemon on the thumbnail was in fact Yanmaxa, a Hisuian evolution for Yanmega, sporting that bug dragon typing. In battle, that bug typing is definitely something that will hold it back defensively. Most of the positives regarding its defenses come from its dragon side. Offensively, it's decent enough, however. At the end of the day, they would only add this type combo to complement a really cool design rather than for mechanical reasons. Not a horrible combo, but not really something you'd want if you're looking for an all-around advantage. Now, here's an unused type combo that I personally haven't even seen brought up much: Bug Dark. I feel like a Pokemon with this combo has to look edgy or creepy. If you want it to be a regional variant, it could be a variant of Ariados, but there's plenty of room for it to be its own thing too. Make this thing based off of the Cricket Bat Orb Weaver. You can already imagine the ridiculous Pokedex entries about how getting its 8 spiny legs wrapped around you means you're going to be trapped for eternity and are essentially as good as dead. Its relationships with other typings is pretty weird, now being immune to Psychic while being super effective to Psychic types. This would have been insane if it existed in Gen 2. It could also be rather interesting if a Pokemon with this typing had a tough, bulky, and gimmicky sort of playstyle rather than a speedy type, though I think many would prefer the latter. The next one is actually a bit special: Fighting Ground. There's so many tough, badass designs you could think of, and all the same, so many goofy, ludicrous designs. Like just having a pair of eyes and 2 massive arms coming out, but a body that has never been seen before. Think Diglett and Dugtrio on this one. Or you could just go the simple route of having a muscle Mega Chad Pokemon that is made of some type of tough, unbreakable dirt-like substance. For battling, this is an incredible offensive type, being able to have super effective attacks against 8 different types, including common threats like electric, fire, and normal. It doesn't shine quite as much defensively, but should the Pokemon be given solid speed, it could have sweeping potential, or at the very least, be viable with the right stat spread. The unused type combo of Fairy Fighting feels aesthetically like a contradiction. It's not remarkable defensively, though it will frustrate Dark, Bug, and Dragon types. Offensively, it has plenty of Pokemon it can hit with super effective stab attacks, and is an excellent type combo for some aggressive yet unique movesets. But what type of Pokemon would be such a weird typing? Well, how about a Chinchino variant? This is an adorable Pokemon already, but the idea that chinchillas can be aggressive when agitated too much could work here. Imagine this Chinchino variant being so cute that humans just can't stop bothering it throughout generations. Eventually, leading to this variant we would see now that's utterly adorable, but easily annoyed and willing to take out its frustrations in Pokemon battles. Alright, Rock Ghost type. I'm thinking it, you're thinking it. So let's just say it together. A Tombstone. Alright, well, if just a Tombstone isn't enough for you, maybe the Tombstone could have some translucent arms and a wispy bottom part as it floats around. Spooky. Unfortunately, as fun as designing this combo can be, I don't think it feels all that great for battles. It has fine stab super effective offensive options, but defensively it's all over the place. Immunity to fighting is huge since it's part rock, but it gets common offensive weaknesses like water, ground, and grass. This would be a tricky Pokemon to use, but with the right moveset, stats, and maybe a signature ability, it could end up with some really unique results. Quite possibly our offensively strongest unused type combo yet is Electric Fighting. Where do I even start with this? this would inevitably be an offensive monster, especially if it has both high special and physical attack power on top of decent speed. With access to stab moves from both of these types, you can exploit low special or physical defense. That's on top of not really having that many defensive weaknesses. It would only be weak to ground, psychic, and fairy. Unfortunately, those are pretty common offensive types in higher level play, but still, only 3 weaknesses isn't bad compared to some of these other dual types, especially with being resistant to 5 other typings. And for the Pokemon design itself, how do you not make this a regional Pikachu clone? A rodent-like creature that has something martial arts looking about it. Whether it be something as unsubtle as wearing a gi, or having something as a part of its body that indicates this. As a Pokemon that builds power the more hits it takes, give it the stamina ability. And now we're finally at our last typing, Ice Poison. I can't help but think of something like a Geoduck sort of creature. It could have something to shoot its toxins, like a gun or cannon similar to Blastoise. Therefore, being like the theory of guns that use shellfish poisons as a lethal weapon. This type combo lightens the common threat of fighting type attacks that would normally be the bane of ice types. But ultimately, the typing combo is still weak to common threats like fire, psychic, and ground. Though those ground types will also be weak to your ice stab attacks, and this combo will also be highly effective against fairy types. So, despite the ice typing, this Pokemon wouldn't be quite as bad defensively as one may initially expect. Definitely one that can surprise certain Pokemon types that would normally be dominant in your usual setting. Well, that's every unused dual type in the series as it stands now before Scarlet and Violet's release. That was a bit to cover, but I had a lot of fun thinking about how these typings would fare and what type of Pokemon could possibly exist with these type combos. But what do you guys think of these dual typings? Any you specifically want to see in Gen 9? Which of the design concepts did you like the most? Do you have any of your own? Let me know down below. Welcome back to the outro, folks, your favorite part of the video. Thank you for enjoying another Mystic Umbreon video. We made it through the end of the 8th generation, and now we begin the long trek into late 2022 where Pokemon Scarlet and Violet await us. It's a whole new world we'll live in, but we still gotta catch them all. However, there's still a ton of videos to do and experiences to have until then. If you're interested in more Mystic content, check out my TikTok and the Mystic Umbreon Shorts YouTube channel. If we get the 10k followers on TikTok, I'll be doing a viewer's choice video. If you like Genshin Impact, check out my Genshin channel Teibachinary. So if you all enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. See you next time.